Magic the Gathering is a game that has been going on for over 30 years. And over that time, players and developers alike have created shorthand, slang, and important keywords to make gameplay smoother for more experienced players. But for new players, this vocabulary can be overwhelming. So welcome to the Magic the Gathering Vocabulary Iceberg. This video will go over some of the most common words and phrases you'll see in Magic, as well as a brief history of the term or where it gets its origin from. So, without further ado, let's start with level 1. To begin, we have the bane of all new players, mill. Mill refers to taking X number of cards from the top of your library and putting them into the graveyard. This takes its origins from the card Millstone, I think. Basically, it's a scary mechanic, but not as bad in practice. This usually fills your graveyard, but you'll have reanimation or some other effects that you can flash back from the graveyard. Mill's not that bad. Next up, we have ramp. This iconic phrase gets its name from the equally iconic card Rampant Growth, which puts an extra land into play. Ramp usually is referring to extra mana, such as artifacts or, of course, the extra land. Ramp's iconic, ramp is classic, a lot of decks like it, some decks don't need it. Next up, we have pod. This refers to your game group, who you are playing with, usually at a local game store or at a friend's house, kitchen table, etc. It also gets its origins from the group of whales known as a pod, but I think you've slimmed down since the new year, so keep at it. Keep going to the gym. You got this, king. Next up is bounce, as in bounce on it crazy style. This refers to any card effects that put a card or permanent from the battlefield back into your hand. Usually they will bounce your big scary attackers, and they'll say, hey, bounce that bitch back to your goddamn hand. I don't want him coming at me. And that's when you'll get bounced. Now, speaking of extra mana, we have rituals. This gets its name from Dark Ritual, a spell which adds more mana than its mana cost. Isn't that cool? These are usually one-time spells that add a big burst of mana but are not repeatable or do not have long-term replayability, such as Ramp, where you get more lands permanently adding to your mana pool. Rituals are used in a lot of quick spell slinger decks in order to go crazy mode. Scoop. Besides being the best lyric of Scoop-de-Whoop, Scoop gets its name from the action of scooping up all your lands in an effort to concede. This will come out in a lot of games as, I scoop, you've been taking too long, I want to play again, I scoop, I'm going to another table. Scoop. Moving to our next layer of the iceberg, we have the ways to describe your play pattern. Aggro. Aggro describes a play pattern of quick attackers going in early game, low mana cost. This is usually associated with red mana. Red is a very aggressive color, which is actually where aggro gets its name. It's a shortened version of the word aggressive, because somehow it's not aggry, it's aggro. If you like playing red, but you don't like playing aggro, burn might be your way to win. Burn describes a pattern of non-combat damage, getting its name from lightning bolt, because lightning would fucking burn the shit out of you if you were ever hit by it. Stacks. Stacks gets its name from the portmanteau of super and tax, forming stacks. Stacks describes a play pattern of long-winded games, basically drawing the game out into mid to long-range styles where you gotta just slowly outvalue them until you slowly win and choke the life out of them in a very pathetic, slow way. But I mean, to each their own. Another major deck archetype is the aristocrat style. Aristocrat style gets its name from, of course, real life, because aristocrats is all about sacrificing the little guy to benefit you, the big guy. Aristocrats are well known with Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat, etc., etc. They print a new one every set. What you want to do is generate a ton of little token guys that mean nothing to you, and then sacrifice them for shareholder value, slowly whittling your opponents down to nothing. Another very famous deck archetype you might encounter as a new player is known as Flicker or Blink. These decks focus on moving their creatures into exile and then back onto the battlefield in order to repeat their enters the battlefield trigger. This archetype gets its name from the fact that turns can take so long that you're encouraged to hit a blinker on the Pendulum in order to actually have some fun while the blink player enjoys moving their board around for 10 minutes only to end up with no way to actually win that turn. The final deck archetype you might run into are called Mom and Dad decks. These are based around creatures that fight each other, such as Apex Altasaur or Ranging Raptors. These decks generate value by fighting other people's creatures, having their creatures fight themselves, all around making you feel like they don't love you anymore. Moving on to the next layer of the iceberg, we have white guy names. To begin, we'll start with Steve. Steve gets his name from Sakura Tribe Elder, which gives you the Stee. Where the VE comes from, I don't know, but everybody loves a Sakura Tribe Elder, basically a ramp card on a body. The next white guy card is Gary, short for Gray Merchant of Asphodel. This is one of the most famous black win conditions. Since Gary, or Gray, you see what's going on there? It makes sense. Gary, drains everybody at the table for your black devotion. So if you blink him around and resurrect him a whole bunch of times, reanimating him, he's going to kill everybody. So Gary's pretty well known. Less well known is Tim. Tim gets his name from the Monty Python Holy Grail movie, where there is the enchanter known as Tim. Tim in Magic the Gathering is just a little fucking guy. He doesn't win games nearly as often as Gary, but he's there, hanging out, like white guys like to. The next white guy on our list is Timmy, not to be confused with Tim. Timmy is a way to describe players who enjoy power gaming, massive spells, big splashy moments with friends. Basically, everybody should be a Timmy, because that's the way Magic should be played. But I digress, because we're now moving into Johnnies. A Johnny, not to be confused with a Johnny. A Johnny is a player who likes making big, weird combos, usually out of just whatever's lying around. They're not trying that hard, but their combos, in theory, could go fucking crazy mode. Eventually, a Johnny will turn into a Spike. A Spike is a player who enjoys victory. This includes streamlining their deck, including more game changers, and usually ends up with them becoming a CEDH player. CEDH, of course, stands for cringe. The final addition to this category is Vorthos. Vorthos describes players who are here for the lore. They like reading the flavor text of cards, intricate backstories, and all the multitudes of lore that Wizards of the Coast used to care about, until Universes Beyond started making way more fucking money. Now we move on to the final layer of the iceberg. These are some of the most complex scenarios and slang and colloquialisms in all of Magic the Gathering, so sit tight. Bust a Nut refers to the game action of sacrificing a food token. Bust a Nut gets its name from the fact that you are sacrificing a food token to gain life. And what is a food? Sometimes it's nuts. And what is sacrificing? Well, it is destroying and putting it into the graveyard. So you are, in fact, busting a nut. Many players will say, I tap 2 and bust a nut, gaining 3 life. This is very important to know, and you should use this at every game table. Mistress refers to a backup combo piece to your main commander, in case your commander feels trapped in a loveless combo with a card it once thought was the one, but after making a spawn token, felt the distance in that relationship grow, which is where the Mistress comes in. This combo piece can help you win many games. It's very important when deck building to always include a Mistress. Magical Christmas Land. This is a phrase used to describe an ideal deck scenario, like a combo going uninterrupted, or mom and dad going to counseling. Graveyard hate effects are specifically designed to target Reanimator decks or other decks that use their graveyard like a second hand. This gets its name from how dad would start drinking and then go up to the cemetery where mom's buried and curse the way that she ruined his life and that it's unfair she took the easy way out. Debt, or DEBT. This is a mnemonic device to remember how protection works as a keyword. Protection is a keyword granted to creatures that make them immune to damage, enchantments, blocking, and being targeted by the specified thing they are protected from. Fizzle refers to when a spell that would target something loses its target, causing the spell to fizzle out of existence. Since its target is no longer there, it legally can't target it because the target isn't there. So, because the target that once was there is no longer there, the spell will fizzle. Because the target that was there is not there. So, the spell does not happen because its target that was there is no longer there. Wrath. Wrath is an umbrella term referring to creature-based removal spells, usually destroying all creatures so that the board state can return to a peaceful quiet. A common misconception is that Wrath effects take their name from the iconic magic card Wrath of God. This could not be further from the truth, because if God existed, why did he let my mom and dad break up? Circumcised. This refers to when an equipment is destroyed on an attached creature. This iconic piece of Magic the Gathering slang, of course, gets its roots from the fact that foreskins are often removed from young boys, just like a commander's plate or Sword of the Animist might be circumcised off of an attacking creature. Well, there you have it, folks. The definitive Magic the Gathering vocabulary iceberg. I hope you learned a thing or two. I certainly did in the process of making this video. Now, if you want to make sure that this gets into the hands of new players, make sure to share it around, like, comment, engage with it. I appreciate it so much. And if you want to do me an extra favor, I have a Patreon linked in the description down below. It helps me support the Magic the Gathering community with information just like this. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.